whenever people hear the word Lourdes, they almost instinctively think miracles and healings. And the very first miracle here at Lourdes took place in 1858, just days after the first apparition. A local woman, Catherine Latapi, had fallen from a tree 2 years before, which had left her hand paralyzed. She went and she bathed in the spring at the grotto and went home cured. And that story of the first miracle here ends with the lovely detail that she gave birth to her third child that night, who was later to be ordained a priest in 1882. In the 161 years since the apparitions, there have only been 69 cures recognised as genuine miracles, which isn't to say that there have not been many other more miracles here. But they've just not fulfilled the very strict criteria that the Church has for recognising such phenomena. Most of us come here with different burdens. We all carry a suffering of some kind, in body, in mind, or in spirit. We all have our particular hurts and wounds. What happens here is that Jesus, through the intercession of his Blessed Mother, relieves us in a variety of ways. Wonderful as the manifestations of God's healing are in this sanctuary, the Church gives us, on a daily basis, 2 sacraments of healing: penance and the anointing of the sick. Penance, or confession, for the healing of our sins, and the anointing of the sick, for those times when we become physically sick. The sacramental rite for this calls to mind the words of the Apostle St. James. If there are any sick people among you, let them send for the priests of the church, and let the priests pray over them, anointing them with oil in the name of the Lord. And the prayer of faith will save the sick person, and the Lord will raise them up. The Church takes care to remind us that this sacrament exists for those who are seriously suffering through the sickness or the frailty of mind or of old age and body. And it works in a very simple but profound way. Oil, a symbol of strengthening, is taken and blessed by the bishop, especially during the Mass of Chrism in each diocese in Holy Week. Priests take that holy oil and apply it to the sick person, to their foreheads, to the palms of their hands, and even other suffering parts of the body. It's the thumb of the priest, the oil blessed by the Church, but it's really the touch of Christ. And that anointing touches the sick person and goes deep into their being, touching the sick and the suffering parts. If it's the will of God, a healing may often result, but the most important effect of the sacrament is the grace given to help us to bear our sufferings in union with Jesus, and to do this cheerfully. This is because suffering is as much a part of the Christian life as other joys. We often hear people say, don't we, when they get some hardship, what did I do to deserve this? Why me? How can a good God let this suffering happen? Whenever we make the sign of the cross, or whenever we make the way of the cross, We can imagine our Lord saying the same thing. What did I do to deserve this? And there is not, nor has been, nor will be, any greater tragedy in the world than that God suffered and died in the flesh for the sins of the world. We can only try to comprehend the words of St. Paul. Far be it from me to glory except in the cross of Jesus Christ, by which the world has been crucified to me, and I to the world. St. Bernadette endured sickness for most of her life. As a child, she had a weak and sickly constitution and suffered from severe asthma. Added to this was the pain that being a visionary caused her, the jealousies, suspicions, and the rejection by others. And then as an adult living with the Sisters of Nevers, she struggled with a very painful tumour of the bone on her right knee. One day while in the convent, a group of visitors came to see her, and they asked if she was aware of the miraculous cures that were taking place at Lourdes, and why she, to whom those healing waters had been shown, did not go there herself for healing. She simply replied, "The spring is not for me. You see, my business is to be ill." Many of us who find ourselves ill are perhaps often tempted to be depressed or despondent or even angry, as if heaven should be here and now. St. Bernadette challenges us to a different response, to accept the suffering, illness and pain that comes to us now as a preparation for the life to come. Our Blessed Lady promised St. Bernadette many things, but the one thing she did say to her was, "I do not promise to make you happy in this life, but in the next."